The APRF exists in order to try and establish quantifiable proof of a survival of consciousness beyond death, and to also investigate claims of the paranormal, and so this video marks a slight departure from our usual endeavours. We would like to state that whilst this story contains no elements of a haunting, it is so undeniably strange and unusual that we felt we just had to cover it, not least because our channel is 1 year old this Halloween 2025, and we wanted to mark the occasion with something a bit different. So grab yourself a stiff drink, turn down the lights and sit comfortably, as we regale the very strange but true tale of Mrs. Perkins. In the gardens of Christchurch Priory, Dorset, England, there stands a lonely sentinel, a single wall that once represented the frontage of a rather macabre building. Some might say a folly, for its construction came about in a most unusual way. Mrs. Elizabeth Maria Perkins, née Mandy, was a wealthy woman, married to Lieutenant General J.F. Perkins. They lived a very comfortable life. Consequently, one would think Mrs. Perkins wouldn't have a care in the world, but unfortunately, that just wasn't true. For all her wealth and trappings, Elizabeth Perkins was haunted by a very real fear that remained with her until her death in June 1783. That fear, over years, developed into sheer terror, the terror of being buried alive. Mrs. Perkins' fear was so intense, she requested that upon her death, a fabric above the surface should be erected near the entrance to the free school, then held in St. Michael's Loft in the eastern end of the roof of Christchurch Priory, above the Lady Chapel. This request was made by Mrs. Perkins, so that should she revive, the boys in the school would hear her cries and help release her from her confinement. She ordered that the lid of the coffin should have hinges and was not to be screwed down, to enable her to push it up if she came back to life. Similarly, the door lock on the mausoleum containing her coffin should be a spring lock, which could be opened from within. I have personally heard stories in the past that claim a bell was placed inside the mausoleum to help Mrs. Perkins draw attention to her plight should she revive and need assistance, but I have been unable to find any documented evidence to support this. Many accounts detail Mrs. Perkins' coffin being removed from the mausoleum to be placed in the family vault at Winkton following her husband's death in 1803. I personally have reasons to doubt this, however, as in Lieutenant General Perkins' will, he requests to be privately buried in the vault lately opened at Christchurch for my late beloved wife, being first put into a leaden coffin. I will that 8 of my tenants be nominated to be the bearers to convey me to the grave. This is rather interesting, as it would appear to confirm Lieutenant General Perkins must have been alive to oversee his wife's body being moved to the family vault, indicating she was moved some time before rather than after his own death. This point was further corroborated by a local Historical Society archivist who informed me that Mrs. Perkins' body was moved to the family vault on the 16th of June 1786, exactly 3 years after her death, aged 47 years old. On the death of Mrs. Perkins' husband in 1803, the structure of the mausoleum was sold and re-erected on its present site. Although only the frontage of it remains today, the alcove that would have contained her coffin is clearly visible on the reverse side of the wall. Many people wonder why Mrs. Perkins was so afraid of being buried alive. Some speculate that she may have read too many Gothic horror novels. Other evidence suggests she may have been nervously eccentric or very highly strung. A contemporary writing of the time states that Mrs. Perkins had a fine face and majestic form, but her charms were external, for oddities, whims and caprices made up her character. The ostentatious nature of the mausoleum, both in principle and the ornate style in which it was built, is testament to not only the Perkins' material wealth, but undeniably how much Elizabeth Perkins was loved by her husband. It is not known where the rest of the mausoleum ended up, or whether its constituent stonework was dismantled and used in the construction of other buildings. One thing is for sure though, and well worth remembering, coming out near Halloween as this video is, rich or poor, death eventually smiles at us all, and when it does, all we can do is smile back.